Welcome back. There's another Sar-tell me video game. But this time we have a guest that's prepared and has his own topics he wants to talk about. And if you want to make a fake name for yourself or just say nothing, you can say nothing.
You can call me just Mister. How about that? Something simple.
Yeah, Mister.
All right. So, what are your thoughts on the college football playoff standings, if you have any?
You define the question.
So, do you think the standings are rigged or stuff like that?
I think the whole game of football, NFL, college. I don't know about college, but I know the NFL. They have already done the Super Bowls for the for the next 2 years.
No, I think that people only watch the Super Bowl for the halftime performance.
I agree there.
And only your true football fans, which probably live in Dallas, California, and New York. That's about the only three places that have, most population of football watchers.
Well, I agree, man. I really agree. I think the NFL was rigged. Like it's been rigged since 1990s, and they pre-recorded the NFL.
Yeah, I agree with you on that subject because everybody was calling it the no fun league back then. I'm sure. Hold on one sec. Yeah, they were calling it the no fun league because they were taking away all accessories, taking away the celebrations and all that stuff, and it was just stupid.
And I just have to say one more time, the Super Bowl has been it's pre-recorded, and they have it pre-recorded for the next 24 years, I believe, and it's gonna go on longer.
Well, I don't believe that they have it pre-recorded for every year, but they probably do, to an extent, script the games because Kansas City winning it for 2 years and going to it for 3 years, that's just not normal.
Yeah, I agree with that part. And I think on college football, it's like I feel like sometimes if it's like super important against rivals, it's
What?
What's that? I think sometimes it's scripted, but I don't know.
See, I was saying about the college football mainly because of the standings right now, and I've seen. Well, Auburn's off of the playoffs, and which is understandable because if I'm not wrong, they're 3-5. I'm not sure.
But yeah, I think it's the NFL is scripted sometimes and mostly scripted.
Yeah, and college football is beginning to be more fun to watch because of the bowl games. And the standings for the playoffs right now are dumb. We have teams that have played nobody, teams with a 13-0 record, and they're like, oh yeah, they're the best team in the league. When we have the hardest schedule, and we're ranked like 7th.
I
As
don't
in,
know who we are, by the way.
oh yeah, sorry, I meant to clarify. As in Alabama.
Um, so your team is going 3 to what?
Our team, I think they're like 8-1 right now.
Nice. Yeah, but I respect Alabama, and I respect Auburn, and I respect all my teams. I don't go
Yeah,
for team because I'm located down I'm located down in Cuba, I believe. I don't know really where I am, but I think Cuba it is.
Oh yeah, I'm up here in Russia, you know.
No, no. Well, I know we know where you are and stuff, but
Anyway, so would you like to switch over to the next subject that I have listed?
yeah. But I,
So let's go on to how the government funds things. Like, I think it's dumb what they focus their money into. For example, where we are, um, they're putting it into things that we don't need. And it's dumb. It's they should be building houses, hospitals, and not gas stations.
I agree. I think what they need to do is stop. Like, have you heard of where they are taking away EBT and food stamps?
Well, okay, now yes, I have something about that written. Hold on one sec. Yeah. So it is because the government, as of right now, Washington D.C. is like they're in like a holdup because of some disagreement. So they're shutting it off temporarily, but I've heard it's not permanent.
It's called a government shutdown, and right now we are in the longest government shutdown by I think November 1st.
Oh, I thought I heard about it being like we were in it since earlier than that, were we not?
But we tied it on November 1st, and then it kept going, and now it's the longest. But
Yeah, that it's not a good financial area to be in. Because it can cause some. Hold on, let me make sure I'm right. Yeah, it can cause some financial issues within the government because people not getting fed means they got to worry about work, and then they probably won't make it to work since they're worrying about food, and then that shuts off taxes and all that stuff. So if this continues for too much longer, it could end up being bad.
well, federal government workers are getting laid off, which they're not getting paid at all, but little money. And ATC air traffic controllers, I believe they're one of the most important government workers in the government.
Yes, they work in detecting unidentified airspace, all that. I can't remember. There's like an acronym or something. It's like airspace, controlling who goes in to the United States area, and if it's an unmarked plane,
And
they need to probably worry about it.
and they like things where they schedule planes to land at this time so they don't like get all mixed up and crash into each other on the runway. And
Yeah, and that goes along with what I was talking about. Because if they know who the plane is and they have it marked and they know it's our brands, then they have nothing to worry about. But if they see an unmarked plane on the radar, it's probably a problem, you know?
yeah,
Um, and going back on a previous video, um, who I will not say it was with, um, so your standpoint on, let's say, what would you draw the line on, like, unhealthy snacks, would you say?
any
Going on the topic of food stamps and all that, talking about food, what would you say, like, you draw the line at unhealthy and healthy?
well, unhealthy. I would have to say what's it called? Chips. I think chips to like I don't know. I really don't know, man.
I'll say this, stuff like Cheetos, that's probably on the worst side of chips, but maybe potato chips are the healthier side ish, like the light, for example, they got the lightly salted, all that stuff.
If it's like a well not, if it's like a well, it's like a well-known brand and it seems unhealthy, I believe it's unhealthy.
Yeah. But then, so would you say like Coke Zero and Diet Coke are unhealthy? Because I know your standpoint on soda.
I think if it just depends on the what's it called? The it's
Maybe,
sugar, caffeine, and just all those, on the thing on the back. But
yeah, that's not really a topic you can just go off your head. I agree with you. You gotta look at the bottles and all that. I had a drink a couple minutes ago, but I just threw it away. I would have read some stuff off for you, but yeah. I have something else. Let me find it really quick. Oh, I forgot to mention this. Going back on the government stuff. So the way that pharmacy drugs, the way that all that's handled out, I personally think is really dumb because the people that can't afford the right insurance to cover their medicine bill are here dying, and they're not doing anything about it. And then they're like, well, you can't pay for it, so we can't help you, but you're not giving them the opportunity to pay for it. Following me?
I agree with it. I think insurance sometimes gets people off and just kills people.
Yeah, and like car insurance and car wrecks, that's also another really dumb one. Um, it's just all dumb.
I agree. I think what we need to do is I think these insurance companies should pay for it and then put these people in debt. I would be,
Yeah.
I would rather be alive in debt than dead.
Well, but see, some people don't think that way, and for some people that's hard to just say. So they should set up different financial strategies.
Yeah,
Is what
I think they should set up things with insurance, and I think people need to start doing saving accounts and like emergency funds.
Yeah, nobody does that anymore. Ooh, and that gives me something to branch onto. So some people aren't having to do that. Excuse me one sec.
Mhm.
All right, sorry about that. Hold up. So vegans, it's vegans think that they are so much better than other people just because they're vegan. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yes, yes.
And what they don't realize is that it's near impossible to be vegan. Let me elaborate on that. So, most farm crops don't, most farm crops use fertilizer, which is chicken poop. I mean, I'm just being real. That's what it is. And so some farms, don't use that. And then they try to buy those crops. But the farms that don't use that kind of fertilizer, use shrimp meal, which is ground up shrimp spread it across the fields. So that would mean that your plants are using animal product.
Here's what I think. It's better using chicken manure than anything else. I think chicken manure is not like if I were a vegan, I would rather use chicken manure because it's way better and it's not living thing.
Yeah, that's a thing. So, and that's something I needed to mention. There's a difference, and I just found this out. There's a difference in vegan and vegetarian. Vegetarian means you won't eat anything that is dead. Vegan means no animal products. And so if you're vegan, that would mean you can't eat crops that use chicken manure.
Oh, you just taught me a new thing.
Yeah, and that's where my smartness from growing up on farms comes in. Um, most people don't know that about me, but yeah, so that's a fun fact for all of y'all listening. Yeah. So, and then they try to do all of this by eating like tofu burgers, but it's not doing anything better for the environment on account of, like oil rigs and all of that kind of stuff. It's not going to change anything.
Here's
And people
where I had to step in. I just have to say, the Earth goes through the cycle called it's not called anything, but there's this cycle where you can where the Earth goes. You know how Pangea and stuff is.
yeah. Okay, I think I know what you're getting at. You're getting at the Earth goes through cycles like the Ice Age, and then it gets really hot, then it goes neutral. We're we're in the neutral stage, going to the hot stage. Um, and then after that hot stage, it'll go neutral, and then Ice Age again. But this is over like the course of millions of years.
I just gotta say, we're speeding this process up, and it's just gonna start over.
It really is. There's nothing wrong about what you just said. Like that's 100% right there. And you know, and people protesting all of it is not making it. So people who protest traffic by sitting in roads and holding cars up are making the cars burn more fuel by just sitting there than they would if they were driving to their house and they would get out of their car quicker.
Well, I think if you drive enough cars, that it's gonna make a little difference, but I mean, who cares at this point? I say we ruin the environment. We grow oranges in Alaska.
No, no, okay, hold on. No, we need to, yeah, we need to go to Greenland and all of that, occupy those areas. We need to, hold on. Um, we need to go to the areas that are non-populated. For example, Greenland, northern Canada. Did you know Canada is a lesser population than us?
Well, it's because they're like it's like crappy. Like if you go real up north, like way up north in Canada, it's like Russia. Russia is like the I think the western part. It's like, but people know what I'm talking about. It's real uninhabitable, and it will never be habitable unless you cut like trees down, you kill a bunch of polar bears. It's just that.
Yeah. Well, see, but chopping down on the trees, and then, and yes, people are talking about those arguments, but then they don't realize that you chop down the trees and you're starting your problem that you're trying to solve all back over again.
I agree. I agree. Hey, if we breathe out, we're feeding the trees, helping the trees grow and do more and reproduce.
That's what I'm saying. So cars, not so much, but mainly diesel consuming vehicles and a little bit of gas consuming vehicles too. They produce about half of their fuel, about half of diesel that is burnt and used for combustion is about half of it is carbon dioxide, which trees like, correct?
Yes.
And then cars burn, I think it's about 24%, maybe 14 to 24% carbon are burned as of combustion. So it's not that using cars is good for the environment, but it's not necessarily horrible.
I agree with you there, and I think our time has ran out. And if you want this to be published, you might need to stop it here.
Yep, I'm good with that. I'm good to end on that. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yes, sir. And I've heard you really wanted to be on the show, and that's all for today. Anything you would like to say before we end it?
Don't be a liberal and don't be vegan.
Okay.